So, establishing a publishing company, right, or becoming your own publisher is kind of a confusing topic. And just in general, when we're talking about publishing, royalties, and income, forget about it. So today I'm going to break it down so that you do understand this simply on whether you should kind of take these steps and then what it looks like if you were to become your own publisher. So as a prerequisite, the first question is usually, do I even need a publisher? And the answer is actually probably no, depending on what you're doing. So if you are an artist, if you're a songwriter watching this, you can collect all of your publishing through, if you're in the United States, BMI or ASCAP, right? So these are called performance rights organizations. So just pick one; they do the same thing. Now, in recent time, BMI changed it, so you can no longer get a free writer account. ASCAP is still free though. Okay, so I think it's like $75. If you don't have it, then maybe just go over to ASCAP. But they do the same thing, and you only have to be on one as a writer. Now, here's the distinction you need to keep kind of clear in your head. If you are a writer, you can collect all of your publishing and you don't need a publisher in order to do that. I think people get confused because they think that in order to get their publishing, they have to sign with a publisher. That's not how it works, which is great news for you. So you can absolutely collect 100% of your publishing. And on the publishing, and I'm not going to get too far into this, but in the publishing, there's the writer side and then there's the publisher side. And all you need to know is that it's just a big pot of publishing money, and you can just collect 100% of it through your writer account. So that's the starting point. Now, the step above that is maybe you do want to start a publishing entity because, for example, I have clients who do a lot of songwriting for like TV and film, and they like to have a publishing entity to represent them for some of the stuff that they're doing. So they definitely want to set up their own publishing company. So let's talk about that for a second, which is different than you signing with a publisher. If you're going to sign with a publisher, then that means the publisher is going to work for you and take a fee, and that's fine. But if you can just collect 100% of your money, why wouldn't you? So if you are interested in setting up your own publishing company, this is how you're going to do it. Now, if you're finding any of this helpful, please be sure to give this a big thumbs up and share it with someone so that we can just help people with their careers. So step one, when it comes to setting up your own publishing company, is what my biggest recommendation is always going to be, which is to start your own LLC. Now, you do have the ability to become a publishing company without getting a formal LLC in place. I would not recommend that, but you can do it. So for example, if you were with BMI, you go and register as a publisher, they will say, well, are you an individual or do you have a company? So it ends up becoming like you as a individual, you are the publisher, but you have a business name that you use. I just would recommend not to do that, and here's why. When you set up a limited liability company, it's going to give you that liability protection to protect you. So if something bad happens, if you get sued, they can't sue you personally. They can't come after your personal assets. So it's a really smart move. So my recommendation is step one, set up your own LLC, which will be your publishing company. No need to worry about corporations at this point, especially if you are just starting. Okay, so just do the LLC. It's very easy. It's very inexpensive. Definitely rock and roll with that. So then number two, when you have the company set up, you have to start using it. So this brings us back to, well, if you're collecting publishing, then you're going to go and do this by registering with the performance rights organizations. We talked about ASCAP and BMI. Now, whereas I kind of started in the beginning and I was explaining that you could register just as a songwriter and collect all your publishing, that's cool. Well, in the instance that now you are a real LLC publishing company, you are going to register as a publishing company, and you do have to pay fees on both platforms. So when you go to register, and I think as of right now, it's $175 as a publisher if you don't have an LLC or a company, and then it's $250 if you do have a company on BMI. On ASCAP, I think it's still $50. In any case, there are fees, which is another reason why, obviously, if you are just a songwriter and you don't want to set up a company, then don't. If you are going to be collecting the publishing, and this is particularly useful if you are, let's say, a record label. If you are collecting the publishing, then in fact, you have to be registered on both platforms, typically. And here's why. The reason why, if you are like a record label, collecting the publishing, you need to be on both ASCAP and BMI because your artists are on these platforms. In order for you to collect their publishing, you have to be on the applicable platform. So, rule of thumb right there. Now, we've gone and we set up the LLC. We have protected you legally. Love it. You're using the LLC name when you go to register on BMI and ASCAP. The next thing you want to do is you want to get your EIN, okay, which is your employer identification number. It's like your social security number for the company. You can do this by going to irs.gov, or you can just Google, EIN, IRS, and it usually brings up the link. And so go get it. It's free. It takes like 10 minutes. And you just have to give, a couple of details, and you'll get that number, which is associated with the company. And then you go and open up a business bank account. So now, one other thing I want you to think about when it comes to having a publishing company, okay, and representing your own publishing is copyrights. You have to make sure you're actually registering the copyrights. And please do this as part of just like what you do. Please make sure you're registering your copyrights when you actually release the music latest. Like right now, I'm a real lawyer, I run a law firm, and one of my clients, we have a big case and we have a huge opportunity to get what are called statutory damages. So you can get these big pots of money that are set by law, but you really lose a lot of these rights if you wait too long to get your copyright registrations. And this is like so important that I'm even, working on ways to make this way more accessible for artists and producers so that they just do this without thinking about it. Because, it just is overwhelming and I get it, but you got to do it. Okay. So we're setting up the LLC, we're registering on BMI and ASCAP, we're getting our EIN, and we're registering our copyrights with copyright.gov, okay, online. If you need help with this, you can reach out to me. I'll leave a link to my law firm down below. Let's just make sure you get this done, okay? So, and then also you're going to manage the copyright. So this is really important. Keep an eye of what's happening. If you find infringers online, there's two ways to approach it, right? We can sue them, we can send them demand letters, but you can also file what are called DMCA takedown notices. So, all like music platforms, for example, they have processes in place. So you can let DistroKid know if someone's infringing your music, and you can get that stuff deleted. So you have to actually manage as like a publishing company or a publisher for what you're doing or anyone else. You have to actually manage the copyrights. So you register the copyrights, okay? And then you file DMCA takedown notices when needed. So if you do that and you follow all the steps that I just went through, you are now a fully functioning publishing company. And you can not only do this to kind of protect yourself and represent your own publishing, but you can now represent others as a publisher. So it's pretty cool. It's not that complicated. You save this video, watch it again later if you need, okay? And if you are looking for any kind of help with your music business, your publishing company, your music career, message me on Top Music Attorney on Instagram. Let me know what you're doing. And also I have like a free weekly newsletter with all the things because I'm just here to help. And I want you guys to just rock and roll and get your businesses to 6 figures and beyond. Oop, here's the gavel. I'll see you guys on the next one.